Hey, Super Folders, this is JC, the evil Jawa, I'm still calling you that, and CJ.
Hello.
Hello. We're here to talk about the 10-year anniversary of The Strange Case of Origami Yoda. I can't believe it's 10 years. Well, it's going to be 10 years. When you guys see this, it's going to be 10 years.
Wow, guys, this is crazy.
It's nuts.
I can't believe we're all together, man.
I know, I can't believe it. I mean, it's great. I mean, Origami Yoda brings friends together.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Through our journeys of Origami Yoda, we have had so many crazy misadventures over these past 10 years. So, I'd like to start with Adam. What was your first experience with Origami Yoda?
My first experience with Origami Yoda was, I was in Barnes & Noble one time, and I was just getting into Star Wars and things like that. And my mom comes up to me with this book, and she says, "Hey, this author, he's local, and he wrote a book about Star Wars. I think you'd like it." So I picked it up, and it was A Strange Case of Origami Yoda. And I took it home, I read it, and I loved it, of course. And I started going on the Origami Yoda website, and I found more about Tom. And I found out that he was doing a signing for the next book, Darth Paper Strikes Back, just about an hour from my house.
Wow.
And so when Darth Paper came out, I went and I met him for the first time. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. That sounds amazing. Yeah. My experience was also at Barnes & Noble.
Nice.
I was just looking through some books, kind of bored, not finding anything I liked. And then there, on this display shelf, right in front of me, it was amazing. It just felt like destiny. This book's there. And I turn it around, and it's Meet Dwight, a 6th grade oddball, and I start reading. And the first impression I got would have been for a very different Origami Yoda book, which would have been very interesting. But my first thought when I read the back cover, I got something completely different in my head. I thought it was going to be something like Dwight folds an origami version of Yoda, and he's like, hi, or George, there's no try, or whatever. And then Yoda's like, hello, and he's like, what the heck? And he drops the puppet, and the puppet just starts hopping around.
No!
I'm gonna help you give advice to kids and stuff. And I thought it was gonna be something a lot more wacky.
Dude, one of the stories on the Oyeu
Oh.
is where it's basically Dwight's dream, but it's where
That's
Yoda
right.
worked.
Yeah.
That's right.
himself.
That Adventures of Origami Yoda. And of course, in the end, that's kind of what happens. Yoda's alive, and he hops into the Millennium Falcon and flies away. So, in a sense, I accidentally predicted the ending of the series and possibly what happened at the beginning. Because for all we know, that's how it started. And Yoda was like, question of yours is what? And Dwight's like, what the heck? And, we don't know. But maybe that's how the two of them met. I don't know.
Prophet in our midst.
When Dwight Met Yoda, a Star Wars origami story coming soon. So that's my story. I pretty much went to the website. I saw the website. I asked my mom. She said no. Then I begged her, and she said okay. And I went onto the website, and I was expecting maybe some games or activities or I don't know, a coloring page. I don't know. I wasn't expecting much. And then I found this amazing community where you could talk to the author, and they had a poll going for who's the star of book 2. And I was like, ooh, I bet it's the Origami Chewbacca, and it ended up being Darth Paper, and it was really, really cool. And I was so excited, and so I pretty much just kept loving these books until I ended up making, along with Adam, the EU, the Expanded Universe of Origami Yoda.
And then Origami Yoda series, too.
And the series.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get to that. So, Siege.
So we were in the I think, me and my family were in the library, local library, and I saw The Strange Case of Origami Yoda on a bookshelf, and literally the first thing I was like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I was sort of interested in Star Wars, but not a lot. So I knew, I was like, okay, so that's Yoda, but then I was like, this is really interesting. I'm like, so I obviously took it home, and then read it and loved it, and folded my own Yoda, and went on the website, and checked it out, and I think I met you guys through the audition for Mike for the series,
Yep.
So yeah, that's basically it.
So, I guess since we brought up the series now twice, let's talk about the Origami Yoda series, Tommy.
Oh boy, Origami Yoda the series It wasn't started by any of us here.
Right.
It was started by a super folder named Oscar Yu, who has sadly left the super folder community. But basically his idea was to make a live-action version of the Origami Yoda books. And I played Tommy. I played Tommy throughout all the incarnations of...
And your little failed reboot.
Yeah,
One of their few consistent characters.
I'm getting into the failed reboots and all the revivals and attempts to
Oh, yes.
finish it. And,
Which I'm excited about. I can't wait to see what
Yeah.
those are and how those go.
But me and you have
You
been
were like the two
only-
consistent characters. I
We've
think.
been the consistent characters of Tommy and Harvey
Yeah.
over the
From the
entire
beginning.
series. Except for my reboot, I had someone else play Harvey.
Right.
But that only lasted one episode. So, the original series, it was how many episodes?
In the end, in the long run, so we had Origami Yoda and the Night of Fun, Origami Yoda Anniversary 16, Home Run, Cheeto Hog, Tragic Death, Origami Yoda and Darth Paper, Origami Yoda and the Revenge of the Sith, and finally, now, coming soon, is... I don't know what we're calling it yet. the
Yeah,
final
The
episode
finale.
to
Yeah.
close out the Origami Yoda series, set a few years later than
Yeah,
what we've seen
when
before.
When did the series originally start? 2012.
2012.
Dang, man.
2012.
That's around when the EU was born.
And when this video comes out, it'll be 2020.
Yeah. So it's gonna be crazy. It'll be how many years is that? That'll be a lot of years. I can't do math.
8 years.
That's crazy. An 8-year-long series with less than 8 episodes. You know, we're special.
We're working hard.
Hardly working.
So when I decided to start forming a bit of a story out of these disjointed, disconnected adventures, it kind of started with the week of Paper Team. That was the original thing, and it was one of the very early stories with one of our first and most iconic original characters of Jacob Minch. So it's been a fun interactive effort. One of the best times I've ever had was when Tom did a poll about who wields Pickle Tea in the final book, and one of the answers on the poll, just like they'd done the poll for Darth Paper, in this poll it was who wields him, and one of the options was Jacob Minch. And there were actually a lot of votes saying Jacob Minch, because a lot of people were wondering if he was going to adapt this story done by some kid
That would have been
into
so cool.
into a full book.
Yeah.
They're currently the young blood that runs the majority of the EU's projects.
There was a little bit of a handoff, I guess, from us giving the EU to Noah, Peyton, and Cam. CJ still does.
I helped write a story, and I don't write stories as much, but I make all the covers.
Yeah, he makes
for
all the covers.
and I'm currently writing for the finale of the Origami Yoda side of the EU.
So we're all doing work on the EU still, but definitely Noah, Peyton, and Cam, they have a major influence on what the EU is today and what it's become. And they actually launched the MOU and
Yeah.
the COU.
Oh, that was all Noah's brain. That was Noah's brainchild.
all Noah and Peyton.
And he's Noah Feige. He's
Yeah,
Noah
Noah
Feige.
Feige because he plans everything out.
So with their help, we kind of all launched a second version of the EU that was this Bounty Hunters saga.
That was interesting.
This has been the modern iteration of the EU, kind of the canon EU.
Silver Age.
So in this iteration, we had a lot more authors doing a lot more things, but everything was a bit more connected. Everyone would release these stories, whether they were previously existing legend stories or stories that were just being sent in then. I went through them and started to edit them to make them grammatically correct, fit in with the canon, and click with each other.
Yeah.
And sometimes I would throw in little things like little characters and little
You did a lot of
cliffhangers.
writing, honestly. with
Yeah.
all those.
There was a lot, and I kept feeling bad because I felt like, am I interrupting their creative vision with what I'm doing? But every time I'd release a story, their comments would be like, wow, you made my story so much better than it was
Yeah.
before. And I'm like,
So you
I'm
did
happy to
benefit-
help.
you benefited.
I just want to enhance their vision.
Yeah, I mean,
And that's the most important
you've
thing.
never made any major changes or anything. It's more for continuity's sake.
Yes, and more to enhance what they did in their story. And one thing that's fun is I always put little cliffhangers at the end of each story to lead into the next, and to make this a fully flowing 26 story saga that is this Rise of the Bounty Hunters. Within there, we have 3 different volumes. When we did this modern expanded universe effort, we definitely saw a rise in Noah and his writing, and also more efforts from Peyton as well. Peyton was with us since the Legend stories, but his writing talent has continued to grow and enhance and expand, and now he's one of the heads of the whole thing. So it's really fun to see how all these other, peers and, other kids are now growing up, and now some of they're even branching off to do their own things, which, Cam has his whole blog and his whole thing.
He's
that
probably the
doing.
newest one out of all of us, but he was also one of the probably most multitasking, kind of jack.
Multifaceted.
He did so many things, so that's why you kind of wanted him to be the leader, but then they kind of made a council out of it. So it was
and I'm glad.
I think
It
worked
works
out better.
so well that way to have
They
not just
cooperate
one overarching.
really well.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So now we have a very expanded Super Folder Council now. But it's so fun to see people branch out to their original content. The expanded universe is now coming to a close as we near this 10th anniversary. But it is not the end, because Noah, Cam, and Peyton have been now working on their MOU, and we've had, 2 phases now?
Yeah, we're into the
We
second.
just finished, as of recording this video, we just finished phase 2.
It's amazing.
Yeah, the council wrote most of phase 1 and phase 2 of the MOU.
Because we're trying to reboot everything.
Now everything's set up. We're bringing in more and more writers again, like it used to be on the classic EU.
Yeah.
And
It's a lot
they're
better.
being able to write their own stories, and we're able to put more out there, and hopefully increase our audience again.
I'm really looking forward to see how this world expands, especially as there have been rumors and whispers of Tom doing something new in the Origami Yoda world, and whether that's true or not, I don't know. We are just fans, just like everyone else. We don't know what he's planning. We know he's working on a graphic novel. We don't know what that's about, but there is a chance that one day we will see Origami Yoda again, and as long as that's a possibility, we might be able to really have a revitalized and revived EU for when that wave of fans come in. Now, it'd be amazing if the EU could outlive even all the current members of this modern council, but we'll see. I mean, even if it's a finite series of books, it's an ever-expanding, expanded universe.
I just don't think I'm ever going to forget about The Strange Case of Origami Yoda, no matter what. I've always... sometimes I left, I wasn't around as much on the web, checked out stuff on the website, but then I always just came back, because there's always something that pulled at me since being a kid, that childhood feeling of creativity and writing, and this idea that Mr. Engelberger made, that high school kids could, or middle school kids could do something significant. Like, in the books, they help make the changes to their school so everyone could be happy, and that, I don't know, there's just something about it I always liked.
Now, as we look upon these last 10 years quite fondly, there have been some very cringeworthy moments as well throughout the whole experience. So,
Origami Yoda, the series.
So what is your most cringeworthy moment in the entirety of your Super Folder community experience?
Definitely my most cringeworthy moment was episode 1 of Origami Yoda, the series.
Yep.
I really don't want to go into detail because it's very cringeworthy.
If you dare.
It's still online. You can watch it if you want. I don't recommend you do. But yeah. Moving on to Jason.
The series, I think the series wins. I felt playing Mark the 7th grader in the tragic death was really awkward for me because I have this ridiculous, not even muscle shirt thing. It's just a shirt. That was the one one of the cringe moments. I don't know what's the most cringe. Of course, the fact that as Harvey, I wear my mom's glasses. They're very girly glasses for like the preview for the Von Junke Darth Yoda that short story, and that's what got me into the series in the first place. So that was why I wore in Night of Fun. I switched that out for my suave glasses later, but wearing my mom's glasses and seeing any trash in the back of my room in the first scenes. That's so cringe. I hate seeing that, like, something that's not like that, like, was my background is like so cluttered. What is your most cringeworthy moment, Siege?
Why can't I do that? That was where Mike is crying, and oh, it was so awful.
The TV, the web series was our most cringe.
It was fun to do though.
Back then we thought they were amazing.
But looking back on it, yeah.
It got progressively better.
It did get better, and this is the best it's ever been. Is what we just.
I think it went from like a 1 to maybe a 6 or 7.
It went from like a -7 to maybe a 4. Maybe.
But it was a blast. It was so much fun, and especially that added legitimacy of having Tom generously give his time so that he could be in the web show as well has been awesome. And we, in terms of appreciating Tom, just take a moment to appreciate that over these 10 years, Tom has literally just spent this whole decade of his life essentially ushering in a new group of creative minds. And that's no easy task. But he's managed to, even if he doesn't necessarily like read all the EU stories, because I mean it would influence the creative vision, and it's a lot of material to read that is really subpar sometimes, like the old Legends stuff, you know, and that's a lot. But he managed to give everyone their time in the limelight and their time to basically express themselves through what they folded, the films they made, the stories they wrote, the art they drew, and it's phenomenal that he's managed to put all this time, pour all this devotion into us kids that is now leading us on our own creative ventures.
I don't think I would be doing all the drawing and writing and stuff that I do, being as creative as I am, if it wasn't for him.
Yeah, definitely. If I had never found The Strange Case of Origami Yoda, if I had never found that in Barnes & Noble, I would not be here today. We would not be
Right.
sitting on this
That's right.
The EU would not exist. Origami Yoda, the series, would not exist. Well, maybe it
We'd have
could.
drastically different childhoods.
Yeah.
And
Dang.
we would have never known each other if it wasn't for this book that Tom wrote. And I think the series, Origami Yoda, the series that we did, influenced me to become a filmmaker, which I'm actually trying to go to school for, to become a filmmaker. And I credit that entirely to Origami Yoda because I was in the series. And I was like, I love filming. I love filmmaking. And if it wasn't for this book, I probably wouldn't have any idea what I wanted to do.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was dabbling in creative writing for a little while, but I never really settled on something that was particularly mine. I usually did a fan fiction or something based off history, never had something that was creatively my own. If it weren't for the Origami Yoda books, I wouldn't have done a fan fiction site, which I then kind of, we are what we grow beyond, as Yoda says. And once I eventually grew beyond the EU, the next thing I did was this creative stuff that is Super Villainy High, which I hope is where my future endeavors are part of, is getting these books published and hopefully getting my name out there through that. So, yeah, Tom's been a major influence on my life going forward.
Because of them, his drawings, like, they inspired me to keep drawing, and I started taking cartooning lessons, and I loved his cartoony-ish style, and it helped me to develop mine, and gotten a lot better. I've even helped you with your book,
Yes.
you've been working on.
His fantastic illustrations are going to be in my next book, and they are phenomenal, along with Noah's
Yeah,
illustrations.
Noah also is a great drawer too.
So, is that about it?
I think so.
I think so. I think
We've said all that's
Yeah, I
needs
guess.
to be said.
Obviously, we all want to thank Tom.
Thank you so
absolutely.
much.
Thank you so much.
All of our hearts.
We want to thank the rest of the council.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just thank you all for continuously viewing the EU and writing your own stories and expanding the universe. Thank you, Origami Yoda, for 10 years.
Thank you, Origami Yoda.
And here's to 10 years and many more.
Oh gosh, we're gonna get old doing this, aren't we?